Hi guys, this is Taylor, and today I am catching up on 8 months worth of neglect. I haven't done a book haul in 8 months, and it wasn't because I wasn't acquiring books, let me tell you that much. There's really no good reason that I haven't done a book haul in such a long time, but I'm here today to rectify the situation. I'm going to go all the way back to like mid-March and show you all of the books that I have purchased or acquired since then. I am going to start with the books that I have purchased and already read, which is a sizable portion of them. Most of these are brand new releases that I've already talked about, sometimes at length on this channel. So for these ones, I'm just gonna speed right through them and tell you my star rating. So first up is Sounds Like Titanic by Jessica Chicharito Hindman, 4.5 stars. Sailor Moon Eternal Edition Volume 3, 4 stars. Crossing by Paitim Statovci, 3.5 stars. Sailor Moon Eternal Edition Volume 4, 5 stars. The Farm by Joanne Ramos, 3.5 stars. Weeping Gang Bliss Void Yab Yum by Devendra Van Hart, 4 stars. Sailor Moon Eternal Edition Volume 5, 5 stars. The Need by Helen Phillips, 4 stars. Searching for Sylvie Lee by Jean Kwok, like 2.5 stars. Feel bad. Love Sugar Magic, A Dash of Trouble by Anna Mariano, which I don't have on hand. I know what's the point of a book haul. 4 stars. Love Sugar Magic, A Sprinkle of Spirits by Anna Mariano, 3.5 stars. The Topeka School by Ben Lerner, 3 stars. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, 5 stars. And Sailor Moon Eternal Edition Volume 6, 5 stars. The rest of the books in this haul I will give a little more airtime. These are going to be broken up into roughly where I acquired them. They're literally spread out around like the whole living room right now. And the first category is going to be the ever-present library discards, everyone's favorite. First and foremost, we for some reason discarded copies of both Nevermore and Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. I don't know why. This is a wildly popular middle grade series that I'm sure you're all familiar with. It's getting comparisons to Harry Potter, like just about everything, but people are really excited about the series. A lot of the adults I know in my life are really enjoying this, so I'm looking forward to it as well. Then I have The Fire This Time. These are essays collected and edited by Jesmyn Ward. This is an essay collection that talks about race relations in the United States and piggybacks off of James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, which I have yet to read and would like to get to before I get to this one, but I'm excited to read these as companions to each other. Next I have The Brooklyn Follies by Paul Auster. This is about a middle-aged man who has come to Brooklyn to die, but ends up running into his nephew and kind of reconciling with his past in some way. I've really enjoyed Paul Auster in the past and particularly enjoyed the way that he writes about New York City. The next one is a little bit of a funny one, but it makes perfect sense if you know me at all. This is Gold Medal Winter by Donna Freitas, and this appears to be a middle grade novel about a young girl trying to make the Olympic figure skating team. I have to read this. I have to know if this is remotely accurate, maybe get some laughs out of it, and hopefully actually enjoy it. Then I have Pond by Claire Louise Bennett. This sort of made waves a few years ago. I think it's pretty stream of consciousness about a young woman living in a coastal village and kind of bits and bobs about her life. It seems to be really polarizing as far as I can tell, and even for myself, I personally tend to be kind of hit or miss with more experimental things, so hopefully I end up liking this one. Next up, I finally snagged a copy of The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I feel like this one requires no introduction, and I should have, really feel that I should have read this one years ago, but I am going to remedy that as soon as possible. And last for the discards is going to be The Flame by Leonard Cohen. Leonard passed away in 2016, and he was actually my favorite lyricist of all time, and this is presumably his last poetry collection, and it also has drawings and lyrics in here as well. My next batch of books is actually from yet another repeat trip to the Book Barn in Niantic that I took over the summer. I just absolutely score every single time that I go to the Book Barn. It's my favorite bookstore, used or otherwise, anyway. The first book that I grabbed was The Listener by Rachel Bash. This one I kept seeing around the library and I thought it looked interesting, but then Joss from squibblesreads ended up posting it on Instagram or something and saying that she really enjoyed it, so I was sold. This one is about a relationship between a counselor and a patient, and I think it goes pretty deep into gender and identity. Then I have In the House Upon the Dirt Between the Lake and the Woods by Matt Bell. This is another pretty experimental novel, I think, that I remember Jen Campbell really enjoying a couple years ago. This one is, I think, about a husband and a wife and the concept of parenthood and this house in the woods. Sometimes it actually pays to read the back of the books. I also grabbed a copy of Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. This is another pretty polarizing one as far as I can tell. This one uses magical realism to explore the concept of immigration and refugees. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this one and then a lot of people really didn't, but I've enjoyed his writing in the past. I also have Brain Boy and the Death Master by Tor Siedler. This book was actually assigned reading for me in something like 7th grade and I loved it, but I've never seen it outside of the context of assigned reading. Like, I've never seen this book talked about otherwise. I have no clue why this was assigned to me, but from what I can remember, it's about a millionaire who decides to use the brain power of like child prodigies to fuel this like hive mind type of project, but of course everything is really nefarious and nothing is what it seems. And lastly, from the Book Barn, I grabbed this copy of The Love Song of Johnny Valentine by Teddy Wayne. I read it, I loved it, I hate this cover, so I upgraded to this copy. This is a fantastic novel about the concept of child stars and just how incredibly messed up that whole thing is. And my last category is the biggest by far. It's basically my other category. I went to like 2 or 3 library sales in the last couple months, and this is mostly where the majority of the books came from, but some of them didn't, so it's just like, My first book was actually a pre-order from BookCon, so it's of course Beautiful on the Outside by Adam Rippon. I've talked about this enough on my channel. It's here. I'm gonna read it. I also have Kristen Lavransdatter, The Wife by Sigrid Undset. This is the second book in the Kristen Lavransdatter series. This is a modern classic set in, I want to say 14th century Norway, and I read the first book last year and I was kind of blown away by it. I'm currently reading this one and I'm not enjoying it quite as much, but I'm still definitely appreciating it. I also treated myself to my preferred edition of The Northern Clemency by Philip Hencher. This is a bit of a large one, and I picked this one up literally only because I know that there's supposed to be an asexual character. Next I have How Can I Keep From Singing by David King Dunaway. This is a biography of Pete Seeger, one of my other favorite musicians. Then I have State of Wonder by Anne Patchett. We're really getting to the point of the book haul where I don't know what these books are about. I know that Rincey from Rincey Reads read this one and she made it sound really interesting. I remember vaguely that I think it's supposed to be about searching in the Amazon rainforest for a particular type of mushroom. That sounds fake, but I generally trust Anne Patchett. So next I have a book that you've probably never heard of. Little Fires Everywhere was a very obscure 2017 release that virtually everyone read and loved. Then I have A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. This is one that I'm very excited to finally have a copy of. This is about someone in the Pacific Northwest of the United States who finds a lunchbox with a diary inside it washed up on the shore, and she thinks that this might be debris from the 2011 tsunami that impacted Japan. And then we have 2 storylines, one set in Japan, and we start to get clues as to what might have happened to the person with the lunchbox in the diary. This next book is my attempt to be relevant with the YA demographic. This is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This is, from what I understand from my vantage point under the rock, is a very popular YA novel about a young man who is visited by aliens, and then he has to single-handedly decide whether or not humanity is worth saving. I also have Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is another really acclaimed book that is basically a father's letter to his son about what it's like to be a black man in the United States and how it came to be that way. I also have Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. Long ago, I decided that Halloween Party was going to be my first Agatha Christie. I don't know why I made that decision, but I'm sticking with it. This is going to be my first Agatha Christie, I guess. Then I have Dead Mountain, the untold true story of the Dyatlov Pass incident by Donnie Eicher. I've always been really interested in the Dyatlov Pass incident. I've watched a lot of documentaries about it. And then Kayla from BooksandLala read it and said that it was really good, and he really makes a strong case for his personal theory of what happened to these hikers, which is something that most of the documentaries that I've watched have kind of neglected to do. Okay, so in the last stretch of this haul, I have The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane by Lisa C. I keep buying virtually every one of Lisa C's novels, even though I've only really loved one of them. They all sound interesting to me. I don't know what's happening. This one, I think, takes a look at tea farmers in very rural China, and I think one day a outsider shows up, and this is like the first outsider they've ever seen in this community. Then I have the new selected poems of Stevie Smith. Stevie Smith is a poet that I've always wanted to try out. She's a very unique poet, and she frequently incorporates like doodles into her poems, so I think that's pretty interesting. I also have Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. This is definitely one of the Atwoods that I'm most interested in reading next. This is, I think, a character study of a woman who is serving a life sentence for multiple murders, but she doesn't have any recollection of these murders, and she doesn't know if she's innocent or guilty, and neither do we as the readers. Next I have The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. I hadn't realized until this point that I had two Mohsin Hamids in this haul. Tight. This, as far as I know, is a Pakistani American man's recollection of how 9/11 changed his life. I also have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, everyone's favorite gothy classic, and one that I have still yet to read. Then I have Just Kids by Patti Smith. This is a legendary memoir of her early years in New York City. She ran with a very artsy, creative crowd, and this is basically just about New York City in the late 60s, early 70s, and pretty much everyone seems to love this one. I have two more. I have The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake by Amy Bender. This one is about a girl who can taste the emotions baked into the food that she eats, so she can literally taste the sadness of her mother's lemon cake, and this ability opens her up, of course, to family secrets of some kind. And bringing up the rear, I have A Woman Is No Man by A Tough Room. This is actually one of my most anticipated books of the year. It came out in March, and then I just failed to get a copy, so here it is. This is about 3 generations of Palestinian American women and they're grappling with the tradition of arranged marriage. This is actually one of our biggest books of the summer reading program at the library. This is one of the highest rated books, so I'm glad to have finally snagged a copy. So that was my massive catch-up haul. I really hope that I never do that again because frankly this was horrible. Definitely let me know which of these books I should get to first. Of course I have my own conceptions about what I want to get to first, but maybe you can change my mind. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you really soon. Bye!